the minute you arrive is like it's in your DNA to know that you are from a land of Marcus Garvey and Bob Marley. You're from the land of the dude that left Jamaica because the government kicked him out. He went to Haiti, and that started the first black revolution, period. That started the end of slavery, period. So I'm like, when you know this, like, it just makes you a superhero too. Like, it just makes you want to just like stand up for something, be for something, like mean something.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Training Pulse Worldwide. My name is Amy, and if you're new here, you're very welcome to join the family by subscribing, liking the button, and also don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an episode. So today's topic is quite deep, one that not many people like to talk about, yet it's been right in front of our eyes the whole time. Reggae. Well, reggae wasn't just about the vibes, the dancing, or the ganja smoke. It was and still is a global political force. We are talking from the streets of Kingston to liberation struggles in Africa and even protest movements in London and Latin America. Reggae carried messages the world couldn't ignore. And guess who was at the front? Bob Marley. But not just him. There were so many voices in the reggae scene using rhythm to challenge power. And in this video, we are going to break down how reggae quietly and sometimes loudly influenced global politics, shook governments, and gave hope to the oppressed. And if you ever felt chills listening to redemption songs, war, or Zimbabwe, then this one is for you. So let's dive in.
For 10 years, probably longer than that, before you became worldwide known. Do you think that the music that you play has had an effect on Jamaica itself? Have you seen change?
Well, that's about us.
I don't know, we know, really know.
Yeah.
That's not really creative.
This music affect everywhere, man. This is the music where the Jamaica people dance to. This is the music them listen to. When you say my music, no, I say reggae music. The whole music put together is that the people them deal with. Now, for some man who really are deal with the strong part of the message, really get over Marcus Garvey and where all of them man there with still.
And you know what? What makes reggae so powerful is that it speaks what most are afraid to say. But to really understand reggae's political influence, we need to go back to Jamaica in the 1960s and the 1970s. And this is where the country was newly independent. The people were struggling, poverty, there was corruption, inequality, and reggae was born in the heart of all that chaos. And guess what? The lyrics weren't random. They were messages, codes, warnings, truths, and artists were calling out injustices, exposing Babylon, that's the system, and uplifting the people. And then came Rastafari. That's where it got even deeper. Rastafari gave reggae its spiritual backbone. It wasn't just about Jah or dreadlocks. It was about resistance against oppression, especially black oppression. And Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Burning Spear, they weren't just making songs. They were teachers, they were preachers, they were activists with guitars. And their lyrics like get up, stand up for your rights. Another was until the philosophy which holds one race superior and another inferior is finally and permanently discredited, there's going to be war. And you know, these weren't just lyrics, they were political manifestos. Bob even survived an unaliving attempt in 1976, 2 days before the Smile Jamaica concert that was supposed to unite rival political parties, and he still performed. That tells you everything about what reggae stood for.
Kid, reggae music really helped to shape my political education. They say that music can be a mirror or it can be a window. We say it's a mirror when we see ourselves represented, but it can be a window to help us learn about other people, other cultures, other aspects of history we didn't know. Now, in my school, I never learned about Marcus Garvey. I learned it through Burning Spear. And as for what colonialism was and is, well, I learned that through Bob Marley and the Wailers, Peter Tosh, Linton Kwesi Johnson, Muta Baruka, so many what we used to call conscious reggae artists. And I just want to bring your attention to one album in particular today. This is a really good one. It's Equal Rights by Peter Tosh. That album came out when I was a teenager in 1977, and I can still remember the things I learned from it today. In fact, the first song on the album is Get Up, Stand Up. And one of the interesting things that I think applies today, there's a line in the song where it says, some people are waiting for a great God to come from the sky and take away every little thing and make everybody feel all right. But if you know what life's worth, you'd look for yours right here on earth. Now we see the light. We got to stand up and fight. Stand up for your rights. You know, we're in a time where Christian nationalism is trying to convert religion into like prosperity gospel, where they turn it into a virtue, hoarding wealth and not showing empathy towards the poor. So it shows you how religion traditionally could be weaponized for good or evil, and that you need a clear political conscience and a moral compass in order to survive that.
And reggae didn't just stay in Jamaica, it flew, it spread like wildfire. And in Zimbabwe, during their fight for independence, Bob Marley was invited to perform in 1980. The song Zimbabwe became an anthem of freedom, and people sang it like a war cry, a celebration, and a promise. And in fact, the government of Zimbabwe paid for Bob and his band to fly in and perform at their independence ceremony. That shows how deep the influence went. And in South Africa, reggae was banned during apartheid, but that didn't stop it. And underground networks played Marley, Peter Tosh, and Lucky Dube. And reggae became the voice of the oppressed, just like hip-hop did later in America. And also in the UK, Caribbean immigrants used reggae to speak out against racism and police brutality. And sound systems became political spaces, protest had reggae in the background, and anti-racism groups even formed reggae bands like Steel Pulse. And today, reggae's influence is still alive. You'll hear it in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia. Anywhere there's struggle, there's reggae. So, why did reggae work as a political tool? Well, because it was unfiltered. You know, politicians give speeches, news media gives headlines, but you know, reggae, it gave you the raw truth. In rhythm. It used simple language but carried heavy meaning. Think about it. And in countries where governments control the press, people couldn't speak freely, but through reggae, artists could pass censorship because they were just making music. But that music was waking people up. It made the oppressed feel seen. It made the powerful feel exposed. And that's why they tried to silence it. If you made it this far, you're probably realizing what I did when researching this. Reggae was never just music, it was a movement, it was a revolution. And today we celebrate Bob Marley on posters and t-shirts, but do we really understand what he was fighting for? And what about now? Do today's artists still use music to challenge power? Are we listening to the message or just vibing to the beat? And as you know, reggae's legacy still lives on in protest music, in activist art, in spoken word, but we have to keep the spirit alive because, like Bob said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. And he didn't say that just for fun, he meant it. And if we take it seriously, it might just change the world again. So guys, that is what I had for today. What do you think about all this? Did reggae secretly influence politics more than we give it credit for? What reggae songs do you think carried the heaviest political message? Well, drop your thoughts in the comments. I read all of them, and if you want more powerful, thought-provoking stories like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. My name is Emmy, and this is Trending Pulse Worldwide. See you guys in the next video.